Hello, and thank you for joining me as I discuss an important change that needs to occur at CCL, effective communication across groups. Recently, the CEO crafted an idea for CCL to be the prominent leader of diversity, inclusion, and equity. Organizations are rapidly creating Chief Diversity Officers, CDOs, to fill this important need across the globe. However, many individuals and organizations are uncertain of this path and therefore need guidance on best practices. Thus, the idea of creating a membership-based subscription for these roles was born. An event was planned for mid-October for leading CDOs to join CCL in a brainstorming session to hash out the architecture of this subscription. The event has been planned for a couple of months, yet only quite recently have members of teams imperative to effectively navigate this campaign been notified of their role in this initiative. If we cannot effectively manage better communication across teams, then it doesn't matter how agile and fresh our new strategies and platforms will be, because we cannot utilize DAC appropriately. Our direction and alignment are scattered, and our commitment can only go so far. This is why this change process is vital to the health of the organization and needs to be interwoven with our new strategy to achieve success. Our organization is ready for this change after using the congruence model to diagnose the current state of affairs. The CEO and his team had this great idea. Work was done within the executive team of who needed to be aware of this idea, with only realizing the full span of work needing to be done at the last minute, meaning planning was not accomplished. The work was piled high on employees with the expectation to get it done while continuing normal priorities. The culture of ineffective communication remained the same, while last-minute addition of employees was at a high. The structure of the idea became flimsy, especially when those who needed to sell this subscription had no script, and the output became sloppy and harried. An example of a failed initiative to implement change was the failure of the United States to convert to the metric system. While this is a much larger change initiative that affects millions as opposed to hundreds of individuals, the management of change is the same. If the top leaders aren't changing, then the individuals will follow. Thus, many believe the reasons behind the failed attempt at change was due to pure stubbornness and laziness. The government didn't make the change mandatory, therefore, laziness prevailed. Why change if my leaders aren't doing it or making industries change? As for CCL, I recommend using the ADKAR change model to begin effectively communicating across teams. This model was chosen as it changes the behavior of an individual as opposed to changing an organization. Yes, the organization needs to be changed, but it will take all of the individuals within the organization to communicate efficiently and effectively. A study was completed by Clue, Davey, and Bakken in utilizing the ADKAR model as the underlying framework for change in a professional services firm. Due to the individual nature of the change model, the firm was successful in implementing their change with stakeholder acceptance and participation. So back to CCL and the ADKAR model, let's review how this will be implemented. Awareness must be made to the CEO and the executive team. Perhaps we also steal urgency of the situation from Kotter's 8-step model to really get the point across as to why this needs to change and how it impacts the mental health of CCL's employees down the funnel. Then we need to impart the desire for this change and how better our organization will be by effectively communicating. We will not only train our clients about effective communication, but will also live it. We will use in-house facilitators to train all employees in the best way to communicate and plan ideas. Now, notice how I added plan to the knowledge stage, as mapping out and planning any idea is imperative. This is how all members across teams are aware of the campaign or idea and can begin work on their end to meet the goals. Continuous coaching and tools will be readily available to all employees. If someone has an idea that will span across more than one group, the first thing they should do is pull up the document on how to effectively manage and implement this idea. Which leads me to ability. All employees have the ability to communicate effectively as long as they use these tools. All successful ideas that have been managed and broadcasted across groups will be shared with the organization to reinforce this change with major kudos factors. Change leadership pens will be shipped to these successful implementers for bragging rights. Now, change is hard, especially for humans, as we are creatures of habit. It's time to kick out these old habits of silo work and implement a new era of effective communication. If these changes are not made, then employees will succumb to burnout and employee retention will be hard to maintain. Of course, falling back on old ways is expected, but with work and continuous reminders of the tools available on how to effectively communicate, the organization as a whole will eventually be better off over time. The CEO will be transparent with his success or failures at effective communication across groups. As new employees arrive, they too will have these tools made available. With the success of this change, we at CCL will not only do as we say, but will also have happier employees with proper change leadership training that they can use at work, at home, and in their communities. Thank you.